Well, folks, today is the day, I hope. We're going to finally get the CFS-9000 to play cassettes. At least I hope we are. I've got everything I need, theoretically, including a brand new gear inside here for the auto reverse head. So I hope we can finally get this thing going. Now, included with the unit itself was this bag with some belts in it. I'm not sure if these are brand new belts that were supposed to go into this thing, and then somebody got in there and found out that, oops, the auto reverse gear was broken and we can't do anything anymore. But if these happen to be new belts, we'll use them. So let me just get into this real quick and we'll see what kind of shape these belts are in. Actually, these look to be old belts, and the reason I can tell is because this one's got a little bit of a point to it right there, like it's been sitting in the deck for I don't know how long. And it doesn't feel grippy at all. It's really smooth. So I don't think we're going to be reusing these belts. Oh yeah. On this belt, the one for the tape counter, you can see it's misshapen in multiple places from where it was sitting for a long time. So yeah, these belts are no good. We're not going to use them. Fortunately, I should have plenty of cheap Chinese belts to go with it. So that's what we're going to do. And I would prefer not to use the cheap Chinese belts anymore, but for this deck, I just don't see it being worth going much further than that with it. So I've already gotten this disassembled far enough to get at the transport so we can work on it. Hopefully you guys don't mind me doing that. I just felt like saving time here because, yeah, this thing's been sitting for so long that I just want to get this over with at this point. So yeah, hopefully we can get this going. Including doing something with that flippy head, because I would like to get this fully functioning again, but make no mistake, if I can't get it fully functioning again, this is going to be the end of it for this unit. So first thing we're going to do is rebelt it, and then we'll deal with this flippy doodle head thingy here. I do have a new gear, as mentioned. It came from Shapeways. I will leave a link in the description to where you can get one of these gears. But yeah, I hope we can get this going today. Just checking real quick here to see what kind of shape the pinch rollers are in. They're not real bad, not real good. I don't think I'll be doing much with those. I don't think I'll be doing a full relube job on this mechanism either because it uses such small belts, but we'll just see here. First things first, we got to get these two belts done in the back here. So we shall do that. Hopefully it's not too big of a problem to deal with. And I've already gone ahead and cleaned all the controls on the front panel for the equalizers, balance control, and volume. Should probably make a few notes about that as well for you. Up here, you can clean all of the controls for these sliders up through here. Just make note of where they are underneath here. You can aim your nozzle in between here, these little square holes, and access them that way. But just a word of caution, the volume control is a bit different. There are two sliders for the volume control. You can see one here, and then there's one above it. You can reach them both through this square hole here. Just make sure you clean them both. That's all I got to say about that. But yeah, let's get back to the transport here, and then we'll finally try and get this playing. This has been a long time coming. It's taken a long time to get this new gear which I hope does the trick. Because if it doesn't do the trick, then it's over. This gear cost me a lot of money, so really not too interested in repeating that. Come to think of it, I might have been the one to take those belts off the transport here, because I might have known already that they were ready to go. You'll have to excuse me, it's been a long time since I got into this thing the first time, so Lord only knows what I did with it. Alright, just testing the cap stands. It looks like they've got plenty of lubrication, so we will not be doing anything with those. Now, the question is, how do these belts go in? And what belts do I need to use? Fortunately, I called that up on my other phone here. Alright, I see how exactly these belts go. There's a small belt that comes up around here, and then there's a big belt that comes up around here. And I'm kind of looking at this. There's likely a clutch under there, so I'm not going to worry about this too much, but it does feel like it's dragging a little bit. But this will be the real drive, so I think we'll leave that alone. Now, as far as belts go, we need an 8.8 and a 6.7 internal circumference. Let me pull that up there, and I'm just realizing I forgot my tape measure again. Fortunately, it's on a shelf right next to me. So, where are my belts again? Oh yeah, we need one for the counter too. That's a 10.5. So we'll try and find that one first. I should have one. Or two or three. And this is an important belt, so it has to be there. All right. 10.5 would be 5.25. Not even close. Hopefully I've got one. That is close. We'll set it off to the side just in case. Not quite. That may actually be the longest belt in the kit. So that might be the only one we can use, which is fine. It doesn't matter if this one's a little stretched. Yeah, I think that's going to be our belt. At least for the counter. Because we cannot use thick belts for the counter. If we could use thick belts for the counter, then I definitely have one. But yeah, we'll just keep that set aside for the counter. And the reason the counter belt is important is because this down here, I believe, no wait, up here, this little windmill thingy, I'll zoom in on it for you. That's what detects the tape being played. There's a little photodiode and a phototransistor or something like that under there that detects whether or not the reel's moving. So, wrong way, self. Let me just zoom in here. Now that I've completely forgotten which other belts I need to use, I believe one's a 6.7, yeah, and the other's an 8.8. And they're all square belts. So let me get into my 1.2 millimeter belts here. Hopefully these aren't too thick for this. They may well be. But we're going to use them anyway, because I'm not going back together with these bad belts. Yeah, the original belts are 1mm, so hopefully these work. Now when putting belts on this thing, we'll have to do the main one first for the capstans. And because this is auto reverse, what we want to do is have the capstan running different directions. Come on, go on there, you. And we'll run it up through here like this. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. Now this is never going to have the wow and flutter performance of any of my big home tape decks. It's just not good enough for that. See, there's this little hook here that you can use to retain the belt. Sony has thoughtfully provided us with a way to do that. Okay, so which one of these is the bigger belt for the real drive? We'll try that one first. All right, that should actually do the trick. Just feeling the motor here real quick. I don't think it's got any problems. Now this is going to be the hard part because we got to hook this belt over the motor. And that's always fun on a deck like this. So I'm going to put this littler belt away because we found a good one for the real drive. Oh yes, before we do this, we're going to clean up the capstan bearings in the back here and put some new lubriplate on there. Even though this looks to be graphite lube, which never really needs to be cleaned and replaced. Graphite lube lasts forever. But we're going to do this anyway because we're in here, so why not? This is, as they say, the easy part of the job, because the hard part of the job is obviously going to be the flippy headgear. And the instructions from the people with the gear say that you are supposed to epoxy it in place, so yeah, that's going to be the fun part for sure. Now, where's my lubriplate? We'll just do a little dab right here, another little dab right there. Should be okay. And some of you might be saying that there are numbers on here. Do I have to time these gears properly? And the answer to that is no, fortunately. They're not that picky with that, thankfully. Okay, the fun part is going to be doing this without dropping the plate all the way down because there's no access otherwise. Because see, you can put the plate back down, but then you've got no room to get in there and then hook the belt. So let me get my dental pick here, reaching across you as I do so. Let me prop the transport up here in any way that I can. I'm going to use my dental pick and I'm going to get in there and hopefully hook that belt. Okay, I've got the belt. I don't know if you can see it, but it's on. It is on, and we should be able to work the mechanism now, and everything should work. All right, I think we're good to go. So we'll screw the plate back down, and then we'll do the counter belt, which has to be done from the other side. There we go. And now we can work with the counter belt. We got to get this plate off first. Which has just a couple of screws holding it on either side. All right, that should be good. And I think what I'm going to do, if I cannot get the flippy head mechanism to work, is I'm going to try and find a way to make it stay in the forward position only. Maybe. Don't quote me on that, because I'm kind of tired of working on this thing. All right, what's holding this plate in now? There we go. We got her. All right, now, see if I can get you in here. So you can see exactly what I'm doing and where I'm doing it. Now, the counter belt goes around the take-up reel, over this pulley, over here, I would assume, and then down to this pulley way down here for the counter. So, how do we do this? Actually, I might have zoomed you in too far, because I might have to flip it over in order to get the belt strung properly. Okay, I think I figured this out. We got to start from back here. So what we got to do is thread our new belt like so over the little windmill. Around the counter pulley. And it comes up like this. And then one side goes over that white pulley back there, and then the other side goes over the windmill pulley. So that's how we do that. Now let me see if I can hold this belt in place while I flip it back over again. And have to eject the mechanism again. Oh, I see. The belt's on the wrong side of the metal bracket here. So I'm going to have to get in there with the dental pick and pull it through. Fortunately, the dental pick has never been put away yet on this job. All right, I got it. I just got to pull it up and over this white plastic pulley now. It's probably an easier way to do this, but I don't know what it is. All right, we got her through. And now we pull it over the reel table. Dental picks are just so handy. Can't recommend them enough. All right, that should do it. Let me just check and see if everything is tracking right. It looks like it. There you can see how the belt is run. Top side goes over up here above the windmill, then down to the pulley, and then back up on the other side over top of the white pulley, and then back to the reel table. And it looks like everything is fine now. So let's just double check here. And we'll make sure the little windmill turns, because that's what we need to have turning. Ah yes, counter is working, windmill is turning. So we're good to go there. Now, we're rapidly approaching the fun part. So let me put this plate back on, and then we'll start getting into the headgear. Watch these leaf springs up at the top, because you don't want them to deform. Okay, that should be good to go. Put the screws back in, and then we'll be ready for the headgear. All right, before we do anything else, I'm going to double check, just to be sure things are turning freely here, and things are not turning freely. Oh wait, yes they are. I just had some wires sitting on the mechanism there. Never mind. So, the headgear. How do we do that? How do we even access it with this door on? Well, what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to take this door off, so I've got more space to work here. And there's a couple of ways we can do that, it looks like. We can either loosen this bracket here, or this bracket here, and I think I'm going to go with this one and hope that my new belt doesn't come off for the counter. So I'm going to pull that screw out entirely and just loosen the top one. Doesn't take much. We just want to give it enough slack to pull the bracket out and pop the door off, like so. And I'll just make sure I keep the spring handy. And now we've got room to work on this. But before we do that, I forgot to attach a spring underneath here. Now that I'm remembering it, I need to put it back in. So this one here. The one that has to come off in order to get to the belts. It would help if I put this down, wouldn't it? It would help if that spring decided to actually go where it's supposed to, wouldn't it? There we go. All right, now the flippy doodle head. Now the way we're going to install this, the new gear only goes on one way, and we're going to have to hold the head in this position right here. If you can even see that. With the tape guides towards the right side pinch roller, because I believe that's the way it goes. This is the direction for reverse, and this is forward. We want the label on the front of the head facing forward. And before we do this, let's just check here. Wow, there's no wear on this head at all. Awesome. It might actually sound decent if we can ever get it fixed. Now, here comes the fun part. Dealing with this flippy doodle head. See if I can get you all the way in there. Or at least in there far enough. Now, attached to the plate that had the capstan bearings, there's this little circuit board here, and the head solders down to it. So I'm going to take a picture of that because I need to desolder these wires in order to get to the gear. Ain't that nice of Sony? No connectors. Let's just solder everything down. Alright, fortunately I've got my other phone here and it's easy for me to do that, but yeah, one of these days I really need to get into using the Action 3 for the first time, but I think we're going to do that in the mountains because I've got a mountain trip coming up. That's why I'm doing all these videos so soon after, one after the other. Alright, iron is heating up and I'm going to set it for 300 degrees because these are tiny wires and we don't need a lot of heat. Oh yeah, we got to deal with this little springy doodle here too. We must be sure we don't lose that. But I think we'll be okay. Alright, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here because these wires are tiny, but actually let me use a dental pick to desolder them so you can actually see what I'm doing here. Or hopefully see what I'm doing. There, we got the black wire off. Blue is off now. Actually, these are labeled red, white, blue, and black. So I guess I didn't need to take that picture now, did I? Doesn't hurt to be redundant, though. And one more. All right, head is desoldered. Now, what I'm going to do is try and wad up something in here, like maybe a piece of shop towel, since I've got one here, just so we can hold that head in place. Because we want it to be facing the right direction without moving. Because this only goes in one way, this gear, to do it properly. You can install it two ways, but only one way is the right way. All right, that is locked in place with way too much shop towel in the way. All right, that head is going nowhere until I let it go somewhere. All right, so we'll get the new gear out in a second. Don't worry. Right now we've got to free up the wires because the head goes over the gear goes over these wires. There's this little rubber piece here that theoretically just pops out. It acts like a grommet. So I'm going to have to take this grommet off in order to do my work here. I'll set it to the side. And there's also a spring here to protect the wires from harm. Not the one that holds the flippy doodle head, mind you. It's the one that keeps the wires from being damaged. And I bet it's going to be fun reattaching or running these wires back through there. I'm going to pull them through one at a time just to be gentle with them. Because these wires will not take a lot of abuse. If you break them, you're done for. These are extremely fine gauge wires. All right, wires are through and we can go find our new gear. And yes, we'll just leave that spring hanging off to to the top there. Are you even seeing anything I'm doing? I'm thinking no. Okay, there we are. Okay, since you didn't see any of that, there's this little spring here that my dental pick is on. The wires run through there for protection, so they have to be put back in there properly. And then they come through this here, this little divot here, through a grommet. And this is that grommet here, if you can see it. Right there. So I'll try and show you how to put those wires back in afterwards, just so we can get this done right. So when the machine goes to reverse, this little white gear moves up and down. And the way you want to install this is the hook on the new gear has to be facing this plate here. So at least I believe that's how it goes. Let me double check my pictures. Yes, the head, or rather the hook part of the new gear goes down to this plate. And that's how it should work. So this is the new gear here. I'm just holding it up so you can see the label on this. And this gear, I've had a look at it previously. It's real hard to see. Okay, there you go. There's the new gear. So the way it goes on is basically like this. And like I said a couple times before, it only goes on one of two ways. And only one way is right. So we want to feed our wires through, if we can, if my fingers will cooperate with me. It would help if the wires were straight. This is the most fun I've had and still been conscious. Yeah, we're going to have to do this one at a time again. Irritating, but that's the way it goes. All right, there we go. The gear is on. I'm about to stick it down on the shaft. There are two notches here. Let me get the phone down here so you can see. Okay, you can see the two notches right there. There's one. And then there are two corresponding notches on the gear. So we're just going to try and do this while I'm holding you. Probably a bad idea. Yeah, I can't do this while I'm holding the gimbal for the camera. But maybe I can get you in there so I can show you exactly how I'm doing this. All right, let me get in here. Let me take my glasses off because I need my up-close vision for this. She's fighting a little bit. Maybe it would be better if I took that other gear off, because I don't want to damage my new gear after paying so much money for it. Well, no, I think we can do this the way it is. And right about here is when I decided to punish myself for not getting enough sleep the night before, because if you've got a gear this tight and it won't go on properly, what you should really do first is to file it down on the inside with some needle files. But guess what I don't have? Yeah, you're about to see the consequences of that right now. It'll go on one side and one side only. And then it just resists with all its might. I'm going to swivel it this way. Try to. So I can get both of my thumbnails on that thing. Oh, and the new gear is destroyed. Great. Yeah, see that? It is split right in half. Terrific. So this is a fail, because I'm not doing this again. Not ever. So like I said, what we can do now is we can lock the head in position so it only plays one direction. And what'll happen then is the auto reverse will simply play the tape backwards, I think. I believe. So yeah, I'm real disappointed that didn't work out, but it was always going to be a possibility, so sad to say that's the end of this machine for now. So yeah, we're going to do our best to get this back together, and I'm not going to put the other gear back in because obviously the auto reverse doesn't work anymore. Thanks, Sony. See, this is why I don't buy these Sony crap auto reverse decks. These little stupid gears break and then they screw up like this, and you can't get them going again. So we'll at least get it playing, and I'm never buying another one of these Sony units again because I'm not dealing with this again, ever. All right, I think I've got a solution here. Zip ties to the rescue. As you can see, there's a brand new zip tie here. What I've got it doing is I've got it looped around the azimuth screw for the forward direction, and I've got it coming around and back underneath the wires for the heads, and that should hold it in place. That head is not moving at all. Now, of course, if I need to adjust the azimuth on this is a problem, but I'm going to hope that this screw has never been touched while this thing has been together, because once they're set at the factory, they should never need to be changed at all unless somebody else has been monkeying around with this or the head has been replaced. So this should be okay. And like I said, I'm going to leave this here weird looking gear out. I'm going to leave the screw out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape all that stuff to the inside of the cabinet somewhere. And that way, if perchance I come across another gear for this thing, I do believe there are some other Sony boomboxes that use the same flippy head mechanism that use a better quality gear than they used in this one. And yeah, if I can find one of those, maybe I'll be able to fix it again in the future by retaining all these parts I remove out of it today. But yeah, for now, it's going to be forward direction only. I don't actually need this mechanism to auto-reverse, because quite frankly, I've got the RX-DS50 over there, and I've got the RX-DT901, and all of those cassette transports work. They auto-reverse and everything. The DS50, I think, still has an issue where it binds up or something like that, but then once it gets playing, it stays playing. But the DT901, everything works on that machine, so I don't actually need this to auto-reverse, so it's not going to anymore. The reversing mechanism will still work. It may be playing tapes in reverse now. I don't know. We'll try it, but I'm not going to play too many tapes in reverse because obviously without the head being able to turn anymore, the tape guides on top of the head aren't going to be flipping around and moving properly. So yeah, hopefully this works now. I will get it put back together. and then we'll see what happens, if anything. All right, folks, we're just going to do a quick test here just to see if the transport works or not before I put the cabinet back together. I put this button back on wrong, didn't I? All right, we got power. Now let's see what happens. Just holding my finger on the micro switch here so I can activate the transport. Let's see what happens if I push play in forward direction. Seems to work. Reverse. And it looks like it works. And it looks like I forgot to take that spring out, so I got to do that real quick. So yeah, seems like it works as well as it's ever going to work again. All right, here we go. It's back together and we're ready to test. See what this thing does at all, if anything. And before we get into the cassette deck, let me just check the controls that I cleaned. That one's good. They might still be a little scratchy, but that should work its way out over time. All right, that seems to be good. Tape input, and I think we'll go with the vaporwave tape today. Hopefully this thing doesn't eat it. I did clean the heads, pinch rollers, and capstans while I had it apart, so should be all right. All right, let's see what it does. Nothing. Why is it doing nothing now? Well, it plays. Transport works. Why doesn't it do anything with a tape installed? Okay, what's going on with this thing now? Please don't tell me my zip tie's interfering. Shouldn't. I bet it's the zip tie. I just bet it is. That's gotta be what it is. Although I don't really see why it should be that. That zip tie is well short of the area it should interfere with anything. Oh, I see a problem. The erase head. It's bent or something. How did that happen? Good grief. I gotta get in here and look at this. Yeah, the erase head's all boogered up. I seriously don't know how that happened. That's why she won't engage. But yeah, the backing plate wasn't quite secure in the way it's supposed to be, so. I literally do not know how to fix this stupid erase head now. Let me get into it one more time, and I'll see if I can figure something out. Alright, so it appears what happens here is that the bracket that this little erase head sits on got bent. Probably while I was trying to get that gear to behave itself and actually go where it was supposed to. So we're going to have to try and bend this little bracket back. I just don't know how easy this is going to be, or if it's even going to be possible. Because after this we will have to align the erase head and make sure it doesn't interfere with the tape path. And this could be a lot of fun. Yeah, there's a little tape guide on top of the erase head that's also bent, so this is not going to be easy or fun or even possible, I would guess. Probably going to end up destroying a dental pick doing it this way. If not the erase head itself. And no, we do not need the erase head because this deck isn't going to be recording anything, but we still need it to be there because the tape path relies on it. This is going to be tricky. Very. So it'd be easier if I just took the door off again, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to get on the head of this screw here and use that to bend the bracket back. And once we do this, we will have to fire it up like this just to see if the tape path rides properly again. Or maybe we don't. We can throw a tape in it like this and manually move the heads up. And no, it is still getting caught. So this one tape guide that got bent. Where is my flashlight? I'm just looking through the holes in the tape shell just to be certain. That this is going where it should and is not interfering with the tape. Just because I can afford to lose this tape doesn't mean that I want to. Just trying to look at it from different angles here. And no, the erase head is still a little too far down. That might do it right there. It's still stabbing the tape a little bit, so let me bend the guide up a little bit. We don't want it to interfere at all. Of course, it would help if I could get tools on the little guy. All right, let me check that. Of course, it would help if the chassis wasn't moving around like this. Just trying to make sure, once again, that those guides aren't pushing on the tape itself. And I think we might be good right there. Okay, so I'll pull the tape out. We'll just set it in there like that, and then we'll power it up and test. Making sure that we don't shock ourselves on the power. All right. I'm going to take you off tripod now, and we'll try and do this. In such a way that you can actually see what I'm seeing. All right, that looks like a good spot. Let me just try and get to the play. All right, I'm looking for tape curl now. And I do believe we've got us a success. So I'll put it back together and we'll try it again. All right, here we go again. Hopefully this works now. At least in forward direction. If I were doing this for a customer, what I'd probably do is go a little further, disable the reverse, disable the mode switch, just have it always forward only. But since it's just me, I don't have to worry about that. So let's see what we got, finally. It is playing, finally. Took forever to get to this point. Do we have sound? We do have sound, but we have a new problem. Great. Allow me to demonstrate. Yes, folks, we have a buzzing woofer. Because that's exactly what I needed, and rewind barely works. Actually, it doesn't work at all. It never ends with this stupid thing. Now you guys know why I dislike Sony. This is irritating. Let's get this woofer apart and then get this woofer out and then we'll see what the heck is wrong with that. Alright. Now we can see where the problem is, maybe. Doesn't look to be surround related. Is it spider related? Good question. I don't see anything to suggest that the spider's loose. There's nothing wrong with this woofer. What's going on here? Could be spider sag. If you're not aware, spider sag happens when the voice coil shifts over time and then falls down and the coil starts rubbing. The usual way I fix that is to rotate the woofer 180 degrees, but that's not possible on this unit, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't see any problems with the woofer, so it's either spider sag or something in the voice coil gap or something. Either way, I'm not sure I care to do too much more on this unit because I'm real sick and tired of it now. See when I press on this side? The buzzing quits. We might actually be able to get away with simply tightening the screws. Nope, no good. We're gonna have to get in there and 180 degree this woofer. So I think I got this fixed. I noticed I had a little bit of slack in the wires, enough to turn it 45 degrees, which is obviously not ideal, but it's not buzzing the way it used to. We're just in between tracks here. I mean, yes, it is still a little noisy, but it's working well enough, I think. And look, it's playing the tape. It doesn't rewind it, it doesn't fast forward it, but it plays it. Good enough. I'm done.